Hey, welcome back to Neckbeardia for all your Neckbeardia needs. It's Guardbro again, and today's video is going to be D&D players of Reddit. What's the most awesome or evil thing you've ever accomplished? This should be good. One of my party members bought an elephant, but we needed to travel by a boat and needed to sell it. Elephants weren't exactly common in the city we were in, but they also weren't in demand. So I, a bard with disguise self and actor feat, went to the local stable posing as a noble servant desperately looking for an elephant for his master's son's birthday. I told him money was no object. He told us that he heard of an elephant in another city, so I told him that I would go there, but would be in town for a few days while arranging travel. A couple of days later, we had the owner of the elephant go to the stable looking to sell. The stable master saw the opportunity for profit and tried to buy it at cost. I was in another disguise, pretending to be someone who had heard of the noble's search, and started a bidding war with the stable master. Once the price reached 500, I told him that I would buy it for that price, but I would need a day to gather the money. Stable master offered to buy it for 480 right now, and he agreed, and then we got on the boat and left. Stable master later hired some mercenaries to try and track us down when he figured out he'd been swindled, but he used another disguised self to make him think they were following the wrong group. A few years ago, I played in a Pathfinder campaign as a lawful good sorcerer with a long story arc, in which I fully intended he would fall into evil. I used his bloodline, Infernal, can't remember the name, as the basis for this. I played for several months, becoming a little more evil and unpredictable every session, until I had to quit the game due to some other commitments. The GM and I agreed that my character suddenly just vanished without a word to the rest of the party, under suspicious circumstances. Several months later, they were winding up the campaign, and the GM invited me back to play in the final session. They were up against an evil spellcaster who was terrorizing the frontier area they were trying to settle/civilize. GM didn't tell the other players I was coming back. He had the never-seen-before NPC lure them into a trap while I waited outside the room. On his signal, I strolled casually into the room, in character, and revealed myself as the bad guy they've been hunting, and then proceeded to try to murder the shit out of them. It almost worked, too, but they got in a couple opportune crits and, well, good prevailed in the end. Too bad, really. This was way back in college. We were a low-level party. Most of us were new to the game, and we were attacked by ogres. The battle went on forever, but things were looking grim for us once the cleric went down. A few rounds later and the ogres were dead, but everyone but one character was down. I was playing this character for a guy who ended up leaving for an emergency. He had no healing magic. After everyone was bandaged, I looked to the nearby cave for shelter. We realized there were likely ogre children in there. Nobody could figure out how to tell if anyone was still in there, and how to get them out if they were. I had 2 hit points, and any real fighting would likely end the whole adventure. I told the DM that I cut off the head of one of the dead female ogres, rolled it in like a bowling ball, and braced myself at the mouth of the cave for backstabbing bonuses. They ran out screaming, and were killed quickly. The DM looked at me chuckling as others, new to the game, were shocked by this. "You are a cold motherfucker," he said. "Execute Ogre 66. Do it. Kill them." I think one of my favorite moments was what I've come to call the rat swarm meat grinder story. We were a relatively highish level party, low teens or so, and were exploring a dungeon. I forgot exactly what class I was playing. It was out of one of those weird side books. Gotta love 3.5e having hundreds of those fucking things. But it was sort of a ranger/rogue hybrid, so I was generally leading the pack. We hit the end of a corridor and opened the door, revealing a massive dire rat swarm. The intent of the encounter would be us fighting it off while it chased us back down the corridor we'd come from, lest we be entirely, well, swarmed. I should take a moment here to explain a quirk of basically every character I play. I make a point to always buy a small bag of holding and fill it with caltrops. It's relatively cheap and infinitively useful to have one on hand in those kinds of quantities. I instantly declare I want to roll a reflex save to chuck my bag of holding into the room and shut the door, which the DM has me do 2 rolls for. Nailed the roll for chucking the bag, and hit a 20 on the door shut part of the action. My argument being that the swarm is a constantly moving entity, so the caltrops are basically going to turn that room into a giant meat grinder, since the swarm was always shifting or moving and would always be taking damage from the caltrops. We avoided a pretty major encounter in the dungeon with full credit, though opening the door still resulted in my character basically getting bathed in a mix of ground up rats and caltrops, since we still had to move forward in the dungeon. Less elaborate, but still awesome was the time I nailed a triple crit on a boss during an attack of opportunity, while blind. My friend was introduced to D&D while he was away for school. His roommate was an avid player who taught him the ropes. When he came back, our friend group got together to start a campaign, so we have a mildly experienced DM and 4 PCs who have no idea what they are doing. However, we are all having a great time, especially me. Since I was playing a bard, I decided to step it up by bringing an instrument to our second session, but the only thing I could find was a finger piano. So fast forward to the middle of our session. We are fighting some zombies and I use bardic inspiration for one of the party members. Now, everyone was expecting me to sing. It's the way I am, and they know me very well, so I have everyone's eyes on me. I reach into my bag under the table, whip out my finger piano, and play the chord progression to Somewhere Over the Rainbow, while singing a totally improvised song consisting of the lyrics, Please Don't Die. Later in that session, we were at a bar and there was a fight cage where a bear was fighting a dwarf. The betting odds were something like 100 to 1 for the dwarf to win, so naturally, we all placed our bets on the dwarf. When the fight started, the bear was kicking some dwarf butt, so our warlock used Mage Hand and a successful stealth roll to rig the fight and make us all very rich. I'm part of a live improvised D&D stage show in Milwaukee. Not a traditional D&D campaign, but close enough. Each show is its own story. Audience chooses names, classes, etc. for each improviser, as well as a location and villain. Our GM/host and I split NPC duties and he narrates/guides while I improvise background music on a keyboard. So this particular show, the audience designates one of our players as a cleric who serves a thunder god. The plot gets to a point where the party is defending a small village against a horde of oncoming enemies, who are due to arrive the next day. So our GM gives everyone a chance to do training/prep montage, sharpening weapons, preparing potions, etc. Our Thunder Cleric decides to go to a cliff on a nearby mountain to commune with his god. Our GM sets him up. What is your prayer? Now, normally I keep the music atmospheric, slow and creepy for suspense, fast-paced battle music, etc. But once in a while, when the moment's right, and if I know the chords, I'll throw in a pop song reference. This was one such moment. As the player begins his prayer, I softly begin to play the opening riff of AC/DC's Thunderstruck. Thunder Cleric goes on, building in volume and intensity. It ends up delivering an epic fucking speech about how much ass we are going to kick in the Thunder God's name. All the while I stick with that same riff, and everyone in the audience is chanting thunder and stomping their feet along to the beat. I was getting goosebumps. It was fucking metal. We won the battle, of course, but it was the lead-up that was the height of the show for all of us. Too long didn't read. Friends and I brought the house down with an epic speech set to Thunderstruck in a live D&D show. I'll try to keep this short. We were a low-level party. I was playing a rogue. David was playing a warlock, and Michael was a fighter. The quest was to get a spell book from a wizard's tower. We broke in and the fighter failed the stealth check. The warlock was killed by magical rugs that smothered him. David was smothered by fucking rugs. What a way to fucking go. David was pretty upset because it was our first session, so he and the DM stepped outside for a few minutes after combat. When they came in, the DM said that the wizard was walking downstairs. I hid around the corner and used sneak attack to hit him for like 30 points of damage. Insta-kill. Turns out, while outside, the DM said that David could play the wizard as his character had just died, until I killed him. Whoops. What kind of fucking DM insta-kills on the first session via rugs? What a fucking dickhead. What a fucking asshole. Fuck me. Yeah, so, you're killed by rugs. Ah, fuck you, guy. I'm gonna piss on your rug. Apparently, in hobgoblin culture, if you kill a woman's husband, she becomes your wife. Well, one time my party was attacked by a group of hobgoblins. I killed one, not knowing at the time, and it turns out he had a wife, who was pregnant. Yeah, I had a set of hobgoblin triplets whose mom died in childbirth, but I turned them into a trio of bards, so it was cool. Was their band called Feet After Midnight? Had a rogue in our party. Every person we met and needed something from kept dying What the fuck is that supposed to mean? Everywhere we went, NPCs dropped like flies. DM kept having us roll at random times, so we knew something was up. Finally, turns out the rolls were to see if any of us noticed the rogue poisoning everyone. I mean everyone. He had worked out a signal with the DM for when he wanted to kill someone, and he got away with it forever. We didn't realize his rolls were for if the poison worked. Ours were if we noticed. He finally rolled a 1, and the NPC noticed what he was doing, and the plot was exposed. Turns out he was a spy working for the main NPC bad guy. When we asked why he didn't just try to kill us and not just those helping us, he said, "What makes you think I haven't tried?" The badass Super King Ruler Vampire of the land walks in and starts kicking my party mates around like dolls. My turn comes up, and instead of attacking, my gnome rogue takes a knee and pledges an undying allegiance to the vampire cause. I fail a persuasion check, and he cuts off my head. We're going to wipe anyway. I had to give it a shot. The last time I played as a character, I played an Eladrin wizard who was given a robe of magic missiles, much like the robe of stars by our DM. By expending one of the 7 beads attached to the robe, I could cast a magic missile spell at 9th level. Shortly after this, the other players and I entered an arena in which we all faced off against each other. It was just for fun. We wouldn't die from our wounds, and once we left, any magic we exhausted would be returned to us. Everyone kept attacking me because they felt, with my robe, I was the biggest threat. And they were right. Once I finally got the chance to attack, I expended all the beads on my robe. With some damage modifiers I was using combined with the force of the missiles, I obliterated the arena and everyone in it. I won the battle. Early on in our quests, my party and I came across a goblin cave. We were severely outnumbered, but we could have killed them all. It just would have taken forever, and someone may have died. So to make this encounter more efficient, our cleric decided to use his floating and glowing spell at the same time. Using a booming voice, the cleric convinced the goblins that he was a god. The goblins believed him and decided to form a cult for him. We enslaved them right after, and so from there on the rest of the campaign, we had a small goblin army follow us for the rest of the campaign. A lot of times we just had them back at our house doing hard labor to make us money. Eventually, at the end of the campaign, we had to defeat a dragon's castle. We were severely outpowered. While the 5 of us in the party were trying our best to fight off the dragon, the goblins were using catapults we bought for them to launch themselves at/onto the dragon. A few of us died in the battle, luckily still lived because of saving throws, but we couldn't have won without our goblin army. I have done a host of horrible things through my characters. Let's see. I was playing a psychic cat, one of the most fun characters I've ever had, to be honest. And after escaping a facility where we were being experimented on, we ended up at an extremely poor suburb with nothing to our name. While the others were running around trying to explore the place, my character stole a sleeping beggar's cup with what little money he had in it. It may seem little, but I still feel guilty about this one. In a different campaign, I was playing a half-dragon, essentially a human with wings, horns, tail, and claws. Fucking Weeaboo, who was extremely powerful. We rescued a group of kids who had been turned into vampires by our enemies, and one of them was being held captive at my character's place. I ended up summoning death there and having him impale the young girl with a sword while I was hugging her. What the fuck? That same dragon sneaked out of our base to go murder her former police partner, who had betrayed her and got her killed, which is what made her turn into a dragon hybrid. Fucking cringe. As far as awesome things go, I was playing a pixie shaman with a cat familiar that was bigger than me. We were supposed to bust out a lair of robbers, but we spent too much time exploring outside and looking into trees and bushes. DM got pissed and threw a dire bear at us. My pixie used charming dust, and the bear rolled 1 on his will save, which made him my slave. We found an abandoned cannon and ammo nearby, so we mounted it on the bear's back, stuck metal plates to him, and had the pixie ride him while the cat reloaded ammo. We busted the bandit hideout with our bear tank, and it was a slaughter. We kept the bear after that, and I named him Pillow. Alright, that's all my voice can handle for today. If you liked the video and others like them, be sure to like and subscribe to Neckbeardia and click the bell icon so you know when the videos are released through the week. Let us know down below what you think of these stories and what you want to hear when we're doing these videos, because feedback is always fucking awesome and we love to hear our feedback. This has been Garbro, and I will see you next time. But before I go, be me, be corn. Blood is just red rain.